Welcome to Washington East to West Sports. This is episode 62. I am Matt Beatty, joined alongside, as usual, by Sean Beatty and Kevin Ardell. If you want to get involved in the show, go ahead and tweet us. I'm at Beatty_Matt. Sean's at Sean_Beatty. Kev's at Kev's with the first name believes being a three. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Tell us what you think in the comments. Follow our page on the Eli Network. But let's talk very quickly about some Seattle Mariners news. I was told about a Luis Castillo trade from Kevin and Sean. So, Kevin, I'm going to give the floor to you because I have not heard of this. So, take it away. What's the news here?
Well, it's not officially.
It's not an actual official trade. It's just there are talks that the Mariners are in talks with the Reds about a trade for Luis Castillo, their ace pitcher. And he, at first, a lot of Mariners fans were worried, but Depoter was saying that he is going to guarantee that the majority of our top prospects are secure and safe. Now, majority meaning not all. So as long as Mr. Francisco is here, and I'm hoping we can just ship Kyle Lewis to him and maybe I don't know maybe like Kyle Lewis and White, but I don't know if they're willing to eat that contract. I don't think they would. But be like, hey, Kyle Lewis, former rookie of the year. Don't look at his injuries last year. Just don't look, Reds. Don't look at all. Especially since you're about to lose Castellanos. You need an outfielder replacement. Get this Kyle Lewis guy over here. And don't look at that Marte guy. Just don't look at him.
Luis Castillo is good. Is a good player. People will look at the ERA this last year. His underlying numbers were much better. He's a good player. The issue with that is he's a closer, which kind of analytics 101. It's kind of nervous for trading for closers because they're very volatile, especially with most bullpen arms. But they're better than trading for other arms. So he is talented. He's 28. I believe will be 29 by the time that he joins the new team. And has 2 years left. My issue is and I was listening, someone broke it down really well on the Lookout Landing newest podcast, Jack Doyle. Follow him on Twitter. He's really good for the Mariners. Doesn't work for them, but the pitchers list, minor league stuff, and does a lot of Mariners stuff. He talked about how, and I kind of feel the same way, the Mariners window, when we talked about it here, was not really going to start maybe not this year, next year, 2022, because the kids aren't up yet. There's no Kirby, there's no Julio yet. But by the All-Star break, maybe the end of the year, you'll kind of have a good idea of your team will be in the majors with Marte, almost ready. If he doesn't continue to just mash, maybe he'll be up or, something like that. But they really won't have all of their guys all the way up until 2023. So that's really where they're their World Series or their really competing window is. They might compete for a playoff again next year, but their real competition window where they have all their guys is 2023. And if you're going to do that, Castillo's only going to be there for one of those years.
Also, I think you're confused. Luis Castillo is not a closer. He's a starter.
No, he was their closer, wasn't he?
No, he had 18 quality starts for them.
I'm gonna look this up because I only pay attention to the Bengals.
Who am I?
You're thinking.
Yeah, I was thinking of the guy who's in the Angels last year. Yeah.
You're thinking of Iglesias, I think.
Yes, yeah.
No,
the guy who was
their
on
ace. Yeah, he's their
who
ace.
was on the Reds closer, and then it was with the Angels now. Yeah, yeah. I was thinking of the Angels now closer. Yeah, sorry. Same thing applies. I'm looking at his numbers here too. His underlying numbers are much better, but I would be totally down for this and give up a better prospect if it was like a trade and sign where they sign him to an extension. But if I'm only going to take what his contract is now, I'm not really into that, because again, you're only going to get 1 year of our competitive window where we have we need him longer than the 2 years. We need, if you could sign a 4-year or 3-year extension and really cut into our window there of actually competing. That's how I want to trade for a guy like this or sign for a guy like this, because this next year is maybe compete for a wild card, But 2023 is like where we're really going at this, where Jerry's got to make his moves and go because all those prospects are going to be up, and this is the go time. This is like we're going to like not just competing for a playoffs, but like that's kind of like you're expected to win 80 something games a year, 88 games a year at that point. And I want guys to be like that. Like the other one that we didn't talk about was Brian Reynolds. Mm-hmm. He was a prospect. He actually has like 4 years of control. The problem with Brian Reynolds is he's an absolute monster, and 29 other teams want Brian Reynolds. I can't remember how old Brian. Do you know how old Brian Reynolds is off the top of your head, Kevin? I think he's like 26.
I was going to say 25, 26, I believe.
Yeah, he's a youngish outfielder for the Pirates. For those who don't know, he's 26. And it just coming off of, he had a terrible 2020, 50 games, but was a monster the previous
26.
Yeah, the year before and this last year. Everybody wants him though. And so but that is the kind of guy I would give up a lot of prospects for, because he is so good at such a young age and has multiple years. Isn't a free agent until 2026. So that guy is like, he's an outfielder, but like, again, like those are the kind of guys we need to go after. And so if we sign Luis or trade for him, I only will like the deal if there's a signing on top of it. I just don't think 2 years of a guy right now is what we need. We need a little bit longer.
So let me ask, where would Luis Castillo slot in if he were to be acquired on this rotation?
He's probably your one, right, Kevin?
Yeah, he's
probably a little better than Marco. Yeah.
All right.
I think he's more consistent.
I don't know if he's a true ace though. Like,
no,
he's probably like a really good number 2. Like he's like, probably.
He's kind of like what we thought Paxton would be, like a really good 2, but can be your ace if you need it. But like, not like, we're not talking like Kershaw numbers here. Like,
and he'll be better leaving that ballpark too. His numbers will even come down more leaving Cincinnati. So
well, leaving Ohio in general is probably not the worst thing. So
Matthew just taking shots at all of Ohio.
I know. I'm sorry, Ohio. I didn't mean that. I mean, the Bengals are pretty good this year, so at least right now. So
and I like how you left the Browns out, but that's fine. That's cool.
Browns are 500. They're all right now, but we'll get to that a little bit later.
One game above 500.
So well, that'd be interesting. I mean, to acquire maybe not an ace pitcher, but almost a second, third in the rotation, that'd be great. And is this just, where did you hear this? Where was this reported on, Kevin?
Oh, it was on Twitter.
Yeah, okay. I've seen it like all the kind of the beat writers and all that stuff. The winter meetings are going on are right now or in a little bit. So names are flying all over the place.
All right, well, let's see if Dipoto makes moves this off season, and let us know what you would like to see. Maybe Dipoto do go ahead and tweet us. I'm favorite score Matt Sean. That's Sean to be Kev's at Kev's Believe the first name believes being a 3. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Tell us what you think the Mariners might do this offseason, what you think about acquiring Luis Castillo. But let's talk about some Seattle Kraken hockey. And they haven't had too many games since we were last recording, but it hasn't been good. They were at home against Anaheim. I was able to watch a little bit of that game. They lost 7-4. And then they were at home against Minnesota, lost 4-2. They are currently sitting at 4-10-1 points wise. I need to bring up the standings, but it's probably not an improvement from last week.
You don't need to do it.
Sean, have you watched any Kraken hockey, and what's your assessment right now after this short stretch they've had so far?
I've been able to watch a decent chunk. I would say Grubauer isn't playing like elite. However, I will caution people to say he's killing them. There's some advanced stats that were going around. Basically, removing luck and everything like that. Grubauer, if you remove the luck and the defense in front of him, he's a little below NHL standard. And that, so they quantify it as like a normal save percentage and normal shots with people like in front of you, like a 923 save percentage. Grubauer sitting at about a 913. All luck kind of neutralizes as best as we can. So is that league average? No, but he's very close if you neutralize it all. And Grubauer's always kind of the last couple of years been a kind of a slow starter to a season, kind of like a Kyle Seager is, I guess, the best way you can describe it to baseball fans. So he could be playing better, but even if he's playing better, the team in front of him, now I'm not even talking about the defense, just like the offense, everybody isn't getting it done, even if Grubauer was playing better. Now, if Grubauer was playing like the best goalie in hockey, yeah, you guys would be doing better, but it's not a Grubauer problem. It's a team problem. The team just doesn't have enough goal scorers simply as it stands. That's going to be the problem all year. It needs to be addressed probably in the offseason. But if Grubauer starts playing better, it'll be noticeable. I believe it'll be sooner rather than later. So calm down there. Grubauer's your one guy I really trust on this team. Geeky Kevin's boy needs to step it up a little bit. He's got to be like that guy to take that step. Donskoy really has to get going. I don't even think he has a goal yet, does he?
I don't think
Jonas Donskoy has a goal. Like he has to do. He's got a lot of talent with the puck on his stick, but
no goals, 6.
Yeah, Jordan Epperle's finally. He was slow start, but it's coming on strong. But he's the only one really doing anything right now. So he needs help, and some of those other second tier guys need to start scoring goals for him, and I just don't know if they're capable of it, honestly.
Yeah, I'm gonna Grubauer, they signed him for a reason. He was a Vezina Trophy finalist last year. It's weird. I thought he'd be playing better than he is right now. Is it time to DEFCON 5? No, probably like a DEFCON 2, maybe 3 if you're really worried. But overall, I think Grubauer will figure it out in net. And Sean, you do bring up a good point about the defense in front of him. I think the defense and the offense, absolutely does need some work. Like they just need to put more points on the board, absolutely. And with Vegas, because comparison to the other expansion team, they had guys that they drafted who just were able to fill the role that they were asked to fill when they were drafting the expansion draft. And so far, you just haven't really seen that with the Kraken. Now, I don't think Kraken fans necessarily expected them to turn into the Vegas Golden Knights and be that good right away, but you've got opportunities for these guys who haven't had this opportunity before to be on the top lines or the top 2 lines like Wenberg, McCann, Tanev, but you have guys who have been there before like Eberle, Schwartz, Yanni Gord, who also have played well, have Stanley Cups, and need to play better themselves. So overall, it's not one thing you can point to necessarily. It's just an overall team thing. Sean, you're right. They need to score more goals. Defensively, they obviously need to do better at just making sure they're at their assignments and not getting bunched up. They get a lot of times where they're just kind of all chasing the puck at the same time, and they play their positions a little bit better. And then Grubauer, playing goalie is tough, and Sean and I have played hockey, so one tip at the front of the net and it's not a save anymore. So it's a tough position to play. I think Grubauer will figure it out. I think this team will figure it out. But overall, right now, it's not well. It's not good. They are still in last place Pacific. They are 3 points back of second to last place Vancouver Canucks, and currently they are 6 points back of your San Jose Sharks right now, Sean. So
the Sharks are in free fall right now. So
yeah,
don't worry about that. They look like poop.
And their differential in goals is near the bottom of the league with minus 13 right now. So
Arizona Coyotes still have only won 1 game this year.
That's true. But you don't want to be in the same conversation with the Arizona Coyotes. That's also the problem.
We know how Arizona got their 1 win, though.
Yeah, that's true. Kevin, any hockey viewing from you? Any hockey observations from you right now?
Yeah, just kind of sad that they weren't able to beat the Wild or the Ducks. Kind of expect them to kind of pull at least one of those wins over there. Like I said, you want to, as I've been saying previous podcasts, since I don't really know a whole bunch about hockey, just kind of stay toward 500 and then get better in the offseason, as you guys already mentioned. With most teams and stuff like that, whether it's hockey or not, you need to have pieces around it. You just can't have 1 or 2 guys and just expect it to carry you, unless it's MJ or LeBron like type deal, or Mike Trout, and then even then, look at Mike Trout. Has Mike Trout been to a World Series?
Has he been to a playoff?
Yeah.
So
he'll just take a wild card game at this point, Kevin.
Yeah, that's true. You just got to put pieces around him, and it's just a young franchise. So I think Kraken fans just need to be patient. Just enjoy like the fact that we have a team right now. Just take it all in, type of deal, and enjoy some hockey and take the wins that you can. And then hopefully we do a lot of smart offseason stuff and a lot better drafting. And maybe this club can turn itself around in like 2 years, 2 or 3 years.
I will say, like, real quick, like, they did play Minnesota, Anaheim, and Vegas, who are three of some of the hottest teams in hockey right now. These guys are all on a roll. So it's not like they're losing. I mean,
well, Minnesota's leading their division. Anaheim's won 7 in a row.
Yeah, and so Vegas is coming on. Like, they were like second to last in this division, and have won 8 of the last 10. They've won 3 in a row. Actually, I think. Yeah, Vegas is tied for the best record in the last 10 games. And Anaheim has the longest active win streak, and Minnesota's first in the Central. Like those are the three who's won 6 of their last 10 games as well. Those are unfortunately 3 teams you really didn't want to play right now, and unfortunately Seattle had to play all 3 in a row.
And I could see Seattle being a second half team as the St. Louis Blues 2019, where they, were the worst team in hockey and then made that incredible run to the Stanley Cup. Now, I don't expect the Stanley Cup run, but I expect the bounce back, hopefully, in the second half, not a Stanley Cup run.
Don't get me started on how that team. I hated that team. Do not get me started on that team.
Jaden Schwartz on that team. People forget that. And so they have some players who've been there. It'll take a little bit of time to get used to the kinks, but hopefully this team will come around. And like Kevin said, at least we have hockey in the Northwest finally, and we don't have to.
Can we give a shout out to Portland Winterhawk Jerome McGinley being inducted to the Hall of Fame today?
Oh, yes, we can. We can.
There you go.
Shout out Jerome McGinley for being inducted in the Hockey Hall of Fame.
Calgary Flames legend and Portland Winterhawks player. So there you go.
All right. Next few games for the Kraken before we are back in action. They are hosting Chicago on TNT if you want to watch the game. That'll be nationally televised. Then on Friday, they've got a tough game against the Colorado Avalanche at home, nationally televised on Hulu or ESPN Plus. So if you have Root, I'm sorry. And then they are at home on Sunday, taking on a very tough team in the Washington Capitals. But if you want to see Alex Ovechkin live, you better go do it now, because who knows how many more years he's going to be playing. But 6 p.m. on Sunday, and then we'll be back to talk about those games. So let us know what you think of the Seattle Kraken so far this season. Go ahead and tweet us. I'm at _Matt. Sean is at Sean_Betty. Kev is at Kev's Believe. The first name believes me in a 3. And we're going from one sad Seattle sport to another. Let's talk about the Seattle Seahawks. They played in Green Bay yesterday, and if you watch the game, I am sorry, but let's go over the box score here. It was 17-0 for the Green Bay Packers. Russell Wilson, 20 of 40, 161, 2 interceptions, no touchdowns. Alex Collins, 10 carries, 41 yards. Gerald Everett, 8 catches, 63 yards. DK, 3 for 26. Tyler Lockett, 2 for 23. Tackles, Jordan Brooks, 13 total tackles, 1 for loss. Jamal Adams, 11 total tackles. Pass deflected, 2 quarterback hits, and an interception.
And he got his pick, baby.
He did. And then
got 2 hands. He's capable.
And then on the other side, Aaron Rodgers, 23 of 37, 292, no touchdowns, 1 pick. AJ Dillon, 21 carries, 66 yards, 2 touchdowns, receiving 7 catches, 78 yards for Devontae Adams. AJ Dillon, 2 for 62. 1 fumble for Aaron Rodgers. Well, we're going to talk about that in a little bit. And then for the tackles, Devondre Campbell, 5 tackles for the Green Bay Packers. So let's talk about our impressions of the game. Kevin, I'm going to throw it to you first.
Oh, God. All right. Well, buckle in, ladies. Yeah, this was. It's what I expected, but what I didn't expect at the same time, if that makes sense. I thought this was going to be. Thought we were going to lose, but not in the fashion that we did. I thought the defense was going to have more of a struggle than the offense. Yes, Russell Wilson came back after missing 6 weeks?
4
weeks? Oh, 4 weeks. And yes, his finger is not 100%. I mean, let's start with high though. Let's start with that defense. Even though, yes, Rodgers was coming off pretty much a bye week of his own. Won't get into that silliness there. But it is a very good Packers team, and they had Devontae Adams, they had Lazard back, they had both the running backs. Well, one got hurt, but I think the other one's better. I think Dylan's just a big old freaking battering ram. They did fairly well. Could they have been better? Yeah, there were some areas that they could have probably improved. I'll start out with, as I was already texting Sean, Neal and Brown, Trey Brown. Holy crap, great games. Like there was one play where, like, I think it was on Lazard, or if it was on that guy that has a super long name, where they tried a deep shot and Trey Brown just traced that dude the whole time and played the ball perfectly for an incomplete pass. And I was like, why is this kid not playing more? Because I was like, that's what an NFL corner should look like. Like you're draping him in coverage the whole time in man to man, and literally made sure he didn't get the ball. Like that's what you should be doing. I will give a little credit where credit was due. Jamal Adams had a good game. Like better than what he's now. Can he improve? Of course. There's always things, he's still tied for Vince Wilfork for career interceptions at 3. And that's not good for a safety, but all in all, he had a little bit more patience at the line, which was good. He wasn't just like hike and just darts like a bat out of hell. Like he realized, like, oh, I'm fast and I can manipulate when I'm fast, like type of deal. And to where I'm not over pursuing and I'm not pulling a Frank Clark where I'm like 3 yards behind the quarterback and just not doing anything, for my team type deal. Coverage, there were still some broken things. Like there was a receiver, I think it was Lazard, who kind of made him look silly on one play and just ran by him. And then luckily, I think it was Diggs or Amadi, like came up and got the tackle. And then there was one play with Dylan too, out in the flat, where he kind of got embarrassed a little bit. But all in all, holding that team to 3 points for the majority of the game, not bad. Did Aaron Rodgers look Aaron Rodgers-esque? No. It's still Aaron Rodgers though. Like, did he have a bad day? Sure, but it's still Aaron Rodgers, just like Russell Wilson had a bad day. Like Russ, and how much of that is on his finger? I mean, he says it wasn't. We'll get into that here in a moment. But all in all, good job with the defense. Just build off of it. Don't get cocky. You still have a long schedule to go. Keep improving on things, and let's get better as a unit, because I think there is a lot of talent on this defense. I think we're just doing a lot of terrible scheming and a lot of just people not knowing what the hell they're doing and not the right players playing, if that makes sense, as we've kind of already talked about. Hopefully we see more Trey Brown out there. Offensively, this was a struggle. My God. I'm going to let the Beatty brothers have their hash at it, because I know they're going to just go to war like cats and dogs, just right here at it. My 2 cents is that this was a mix of a lot of stuff. The first half play calling was absolute dog shit. Just dog shit. Absolute. Like Pete Carroll, you have Russell Wilson. Like, I get it. This is the first time Russell's missed any significant time. His name is Russell Wilson. He's not a rookie fucking quarterback. Let the kid throw. Like, he's a grown man. He's 33 and he's been in the NFL for 10 years. It's not going to affect him that he was gone for 4 games. He's not going to be like, how do I throw a ball? Like, yes, did he have errors? Yes, but let's get that in the beginning of the game instead of like letting him throw it like halfway during the third and trying to figure it out there. Like, let him make the mistakes early to where he can cut, like he's been known to do it. It's called the NFC Championship game. Yeah, he threw 4 picks, but the last 5 minutes of that game, he was fucking phenomenal and won it for us. Like, let him get the mistakes out early instead of just babying him, which you did, because you're so afraid of turnovers. Like, oh God, heaven forbid. You had 2 turnovers in this game and you barely lost. Let Russell win you the game, because that's what he's been doing your whole freaking career, you idiot. Now, that being said, Russell didn't look great. He made some very bad decisions and some very bad throws throughout this game. How much of it was on his finger? That's between Russell and the football.
And the finger.
Yeah. So honestly, now it didn't help that our offensive line was a bunch of traffic cones and a teddy bear for the majority of the thing. Like, give him a pocket, for the love of God. Like, just give him some time to where, because even though he is Russell Wilson, that finger has got to be bothering him to where he's also having to think on the run. Doing things while you're hurt is harder. I know, weird, right? Yeah. So give him just a clean pocket. Like, I don't know what we need to do. Like, do we need to bring Fuller back in? Because one, like, Pochik looked like booty. I mean, the whole O-line looked like booty. Let's be honest here. Even Dwayne Brown, when he was out there before he got hurt, was not looking real great. Yeah. Oh, and then Pete, which you finally figured out in the third quarter, the throwing game sets up the running game, not the reverse. The running game does not set up the throwing game. The throwing game sets up the running game. Like, literally, like, once Russell was starting to go downfield on that one series, like, then like Alex Collins is getting like 5 yards of carry, and you're like, whoa. Yeah, it's because they don't want Russ, they're gonna put 2 safeties back, and then it clears up room up front. Oh, fucking Jesus. Like, it's your own thing. So yeah, Russell, I think, will get better. Everybody needs to calm their booties. O-line, that's kind of been a problem the whole year. Let's hope that kind of gets fixed out. Like, just maybe lock him in a room with Ken Norton, and Ken Norton's got like a bat and just scares the crap out of him. Like, you're gonna block, or I'm gonna take your shins out, and I'll get somebody else to block. Type of deal. I don't know. Like, I don't know if you need to come to Jesus moment with him or what the deal is. But that O-line is hot garbage, and it's another attribution to the fact that we have drafted like dog crap over the past couple of years and haven't drafted a good O-lineman. We literally, the only one that was kind of good is Brown, that we traded for. The rest have been kind of poopy. So with that, I will pass it off to whoever wants to take it.
You can
John?
go, man. You can go.
Yeah, I'll keep mine very simple. I mean, Seahawks are just terrible. I'll just go with the defense. Defense was good, not great, but good. Definitely good enough to win the game. Like Kevin said, they held them to 3 points for most of that game. Aaron Rodgers, unfortunately, he consulted Dr. Joe Rogan, and that didn't work out for him, so he missed a game. But when you consult bad doctors, you're going to get bad advice. So he missed a game. He came back. Clearly didn't look quite Aaron Rodgers-esque, but he did enough to win the game, and that's all I'm sure he cared about, and that's all he wanted. So that was a good performance by the defense. They played well enough to win. Just the offense is bad, and that brings me to the offense. I mean, I think this loss falls squarely on the shoulders of Russell Wilson. You guys say let Russ cook. He threw 40 times, and that was 70% of their plays. So he was in the kitchen, and the kitchen burned down because of a grease fire. Like, he was just awful, just absolutely awful. I mean, if you want to blame the O-line, cool. Whatever, Pete's calls, whatever. But Russ had the ball majority of the time in his hands, and he failed. Just straight up failed. Was the finger 100%? I mean, if you're out there, you're out there. Like, not gonna let the finger be an excuse. Sean tweeted out that he's not 100% healthy. You're out there. Like,
he shouldn't be out there.
Perform.
That's the point. Don't be out there. You
Well,
can't play football. You can't hold a football. Don't be out there.
I mean, then that brings up the point. Would you have rather had Geno Smith out there?
Yes, 100%.
Wow. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
I have a quote from Pete Carroll that will prove my point here in a second.
I mean, you know, I think Geno would have put at least a field goal on the board. But I think if you ask most fans for the game, Russ being medically cleared, you would have picked Russ to be out there.
You've been on Seahawks Twitter. They're idiots. Every single one of them are idiots. Yeah. Absolute mouth breathing idiots. I'm
not quoting Seahawks Twitter.
I'm
not quoting Seahawks Twitter. I'm just saying he was medically cleared to play.
Yeah, that's
and then you're given a choice.
He's
I think all of us.
He's medically cleared because he can't hurt it anymore. That doesn't mean he's going to be good or even.
I don't think you can, in hindsight, say you would have rather have Geno out there. I don't think you.
No, but knowing what it was, I was talking to somebody before the game. Like, I work with orthopedic surgeons all day. That's all I do. They said he won't be anywhere close to 100% for 8 weeks. There's no way he was going to be close to 100% by this week. It's just like, yes, he's cleared because he did the healing process and did it, but bones and tendons heal at a certain rate for everybody. His bone didn't heal twice as fast as everybody else's on the planet. That just didn't happen. He's not going to be close to 100% in 4 weeks. That's just not possible.
Okay, so then I guess that makes it even more his fault that the offense is this bad.
That's what I was
saying.
Because
it's if you cannot do the things that you are able to do, then don't be out there. But knowing Russ, knowing he's a competitor, he's going to be out there. I guess this is the result you're going to get. Like, I mean, now let's give credit where credit's due, like Kevin said. The Green Bay defense is good. It's very good. I mean, it's, they knew the pass was coming. They were sending rushers and they were getting to Russ, and there were a couple times where he kind of like backed into guys and just, he looked timid, maybe a little cautious of the finger. I don't know, but you play like this next week and you're probably going to get another goose egg. So, I mean, Russ is going to be out there because that's your guy. So, we'll see how it goes next week, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, but I'll let Sean go because he was just bad. It was bad. Sean?
Yeah, I don't know what you were talking about on Twitter yesterday. I said nothing other than Russell was bad.
I thought you were making an excuse that his finger was hurt.
It is. Like, that's not Russell Wilson. Have you ever seen Russell Wilson miss plays like that?
But my point is, you can't just say his fingers hurt, therefore he was bad.
Russell has never been shut out in a game. That's not Russell. That is a hurt Russell, obviously. Like, it's obvious that that's not 100% Russell. Russell and the Seahawks did not play as well because Russell was hurt. I don't think they win the game if Russell's even healthy. I'm not saying that they are better than the Packers in Lambeau if Russell's healthy. But, like, they don't lose 17-0 if Russell's healthy. That was the point I was making. Like, they don't. Russell's never won in Lambeau ever. So I'm just saying, no, we could say that probably pretty good. That maybe not like they're for sure they're
maybe
gonna
a
win.
Field goal, I guess.
No, they'll score more than 0 if Russell's healthy. Correct?
Yeah, maybe a field goal, I guess.
No, they'll score way more than that. Russell's never been shut out in 200 games. So, we know that Russell will score points if he's healthy.
Some of the decisions, some of them were bad throws, but some of them were just terrible. Like the whole triple coverage in the end zone. Like, why are you throwing that ball into triple coverage?
But that's that's on Russell. Russell made bad decisions, but also just like the last drive where the game was sort of going, it was only it was
garbage time.
Yeah, it was still 10-3. There was still time. There was 2 scores. He missed 2 balls. He overthrew DK by 5 yards, and the next throw shorts Tyler by 4 yards. They're both wide open, and I'm like, Russell might have a couple of those, maybe one of those a game, but they were back-to-back plays, and then DK got thrown out. I was like, this isn't Russell. And that was only 2 of the 9 that happened. Like he clearly, to the point where it came where after the game, Pete told it, he goes, Russell wasn't healthy enough to take a snap from under center. He said that. If Russell's not healthy enough to take a snap under center, clearly his hand is still bothering him. Correct? That would be my assumption.
Well, yeah.
So then why is he playing if he can't handle a freaking snap?
But bothering is not the same as unable to do what you are able to do.
Receive a football, it's going to affect you holding the football and throwing the football.
Your plays.
I understand that.
And that's all my point was, like, so that him not being able to even grab a football from somebody is going to have an effect on the game, and has a very big effect on the game. That if you thought that was Russell Wilson, that's like 60% Russell. That's not even close to healthy Russell. It will get better as it goes, but that's not Russell Wilson.
To go into Sean's perspective, it's what we talked about last year with the Jamal Adams thing playing in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Jamal Adams playing hurt because he wanted to play in a playoff game. Like, how did it cost, like, to where he can't even grab a ball, and where Ryan Neal in his place could have grabbed a ball?
Players happens all the time in sports, and where like the starter, the beast is out there, and you're like, man, he's toughing this through. And at a certain point, the opportunity cost shifts. At what point do you being so hurt but may be able to play actually hurt your team's chances to win? If Geno plays, they're not going to win this game either. But like, they're probably, like you said, Matthew, you said this, they're scoring more points and looking better on offense with Geno out there, probably because a lot of these plays, the receivers are open and Russell just didn't hit them. Like the one pick, the guys, I can't remember who it was open and behind him, and Russell shortens him by like 4 yards. And then the ball's right to the Packers player. I'm like, what are you doing? It was DK in the end zone. I'm like, King let King intercept you on an under when you had DK wide open in the back of the end zone. Russell has a great deep ball, air quotes. Like, he makes that play, or at least gets it in a position, doesn't short him by 5 yards. Like,
now, I have a question for both of you now. Knowing what has happened, knowing that you're not going to win with Geno Smith, do you play Geno Smith, or do you play Russell to let him know his limitations, to know in the future game of what he's going to do and where his limitations lie?
He's medically cleared because he can't hurt the injury can't get worse. So I'm fine with playing Russell now, because it'll only get better. It'll only heal more as the weeks go. The injury won't get worse. His hand won't get worse as the injuries go, unless he like hits it on a helmet. Yeah.
But
again, the season's already like uphill battle, especially with the 49ers winning. It's an uphill battle now. Like, they're 2 games into 4th place now. Like, they're down there.
And I'm playing Russ simply because I think a hurt Russ is better than a healthy Geno. That's just my personal opinion.
Till a certain point.
I mean, he has a full game of knowing what to expect with that finger.
Now he does, yeah.
Yeah, so not I expect him to be better against the Cardinals.
Yeah, he'll be better against the Cardinals.
Yeah. But the thing is, it is very easy to be better after what he just did. Yeah, so the bar is very low.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll talk about the rest of the game other than Russell Wilson. So Russell was, I think, the main part of why they lost. I think I said in the text, 70%, 60%. I think it was 70% on Russell. I think they should have ran it more. Honestly, if you knew Russell was having this much problem completing very easy passes, you need to take it away from him a little bit. Alex Collins looked really good. Averaged the most yards of any running back in the game. Had the highest EPA of any running back other than Dylan, but that's because Dylan scored 2 touchdowns. It affects the EPA. But on rushes that didn't result in touchdowns, he's the most efficient running back in the entire game. Alex Collins looked really good. But because of how this was, and I don't know if audibling, I can't speak to like if Russell's audibling or they called all these passes or whatever, still knowing Russell couldn't grip the ball, what the situation was, but 40 passes to 10 runs with Russell throwing ducks like that, they probably should have ran it way more. Because the game was 3-0 at halftime. It was still a game. Like, you didn't need to, you weren't down a bunch. The defense they played, I think the defense played pretty well. Jordan Brooks played well. Jamal Adams played well. I do want to touch on one thing, and I know I talked to Kevin about this. AJ Dillon, do you know his height and weight, Kevin? I do. Do you have him?
Oh, I think he's 6'3", 6'2", 255.
He's like 6'1", 6 feet, 250 basically. That man gets a 10-yard head start, and everyone is freaking out when Bobby Wagner doesn't take him one-on-one on the goal line. And I'm like, I don't know a person on the planet who handles that guy one-on-one and stops him dead in his tracks. It's just inertia. Like, it's just physics. Like, a guy getting that much head start, running that hard, that fast, again, running into a guy who weighs the same with zero speed, standing still, that's just inertia. That's just straight physics. You're going to go backwards. That's not a fair ask of Bobby Wagner. Like, and people were freaking out about Bobby. I'm like, no, Bobby's still playing good. Like,
Yeah,
stop. Like, he lost a one-on-one to AJ Dillon with a 10-yard head start. Settle down. Like, it's not like me or Kevin or Matt was running into Bobby and we pushed Bobby back. Like,
Yeah, that would be a problem.
Yeah, that would be a problem. But I think Bobby's handling
Dylan's a
it
big
pretty
boy.
easily.
I would try to go around it.
He's a big boy.
Yeah.
I would just take a knee. Like, the give yourself up play slide. Can running backs do that? I'll slide. But I still think Bobby played fine even after that play. Me and Kevin were talking about it. Brown played great. Neal played great. I think they need to get more reps out there. DJ Reed played well. Aaron Rodgers didn't look like himself either. I think maybe the mental and all that stuff affected him more. He didn't look like himself. The Seahawks were probably a good chunk of that, but there's still some parts where Aaron Rodgers just didn't look like Aaron Rodgers, just because people have off games in the NFL. You know, you're never perfect every game. We see it with every team, every quarterback, every player. I think we got a little lucky that Aaron Rodgers had one of his off games and we played well on defense. But Kevin was right. The offensive line was a mess. DK, you got to get your head on you got to keep your head in the game a little bit, man.
Like, team too. DK was the main, but
it's a track record now. DK just constantly, sometimes just mental lapses and things.
Yeah,
and
he's got the pacifier for a reason.
Yeah, it's just he's got all the talent in the world, man. Just like, don't let the other stuff ruin that for you, man. Like, get kicked out of a game. I get it. The game was over. You know, that's not the issue. It's just like, I don't want it to like bleed into like affecting you other games where the games aren't necessarily over.
You get suspended for a game or something.
Yeah, I don't want that to happen. But like, let's just keep your head on. Like, I know losing is frustrating, but like, kind of unfortunately took a sort of shot at Russell and Pete after the game about like, you get your playmakers the ball. Yeah.
I mean, you had 8 targets. So now were all those targets catchable? No.
Well, but DK did have one hit him in both hands, like, and he didn't do Russell any favors on that one. The ball was thrown behind DK a little bit, but again, it was catchable enough that he probably still should have caught it. Like,
8 targets for Gerald, DK, and Tyler.
And so. I was looking at it here. He was
Gerald caught them all.
DK was horribly inefficient too. Negative 0.7 efficiency EPA per play. He was not very efficient on his receptions, like basically not maximizing the yards, all that stuff. Russell was absolutely atrocious. Russell is completely the reason they lost. Negative 0.37 for a quarterback. That's worse than any running back. And obviously quarterbacks are like way more valuable than running backs. And he was worse than any running back in the game. So Russell was absolutely atrocious in this game. From basically every aspect. So let's just try to brush it off, I guess. And on to Arizona. Is that right?
Let's talk about one more thing. I didn't see this until just a little bit ago. So Pete said that the officials played huge part in Seattle Seahawks loss to Green Bay Packers. He specifically mentions 3 plays. The first quarter scramble for Russ, the Aaron Rodgers second quarter fumble, and Kevin King's interception of Wilson in the third quarter. I'm just going to say those calls did not impact the outcome of the game. But I will say that was really weird watching that first quarter scramble, because it looked like he had it. And then replay was like kind of iffy. And then the rest just kind of took it away and said it was 4th down. That was a weird, I don't know if it was a broadcast weird or something, but like it appeared on the broadcast they gave him the first down, and the rest were like, nope. Yeah. So that was weird. The second quarter fumble, I mean, it depends what fan you are. I'm gonna say it's like the Fail Mary. I think Darrell Taylor had the ball, but
I hate the whole tie bullshit. Like, in any sport,
goes
tie
the
goes
offense.
The winner, tie goes the offense.
So that is kind of it's really your perspective for the most part, I would say. And then Kevin King's interception, I think that was an interception. He had it and then was at the ground and then it went out. But
I saw a really
agree
good
to disagree.
So I will say the replay looks live. It looked really bad, but the replay did show that Russell was short. Why you don't go for it, that's a different topic. Pete should have gone for it. To the fumble, you're probably right, Matthew. It's tough. Probably safe to say probably Packers ball. The Kevin King is definitely not a pick. The Kevin King one is not a pick because if the same is reversed and it's a wide receiver, he did not follow through on the catch all the way through to establish possession. Definitely did not. As his knee hits the ground to establish possession, then immediately comes out. He didn't do anything after then immediately establishing his possession. So if it's not the same for the offensive player, then how can it be less for a defensive player to establish possession? That's my only thing. If it my only problem was if that was the way it was called for an offensive player in the same situation, it would have not been a touchdown. So all I'm asking for is call it both ways. I will say with that, if it was not a pick, the Seahawks probably get points on that play or probably get points on that possession. They're not shut out at least. But I don't like to be the one to say the officials were bad because people said in the past, and I'm always hound on them, stop. The officials were not good for the Seahawks this game. I will say that they did not do the Seahawks any favors for sure.
I also will say, Carlos Dunlap, please don't throw shoes because that's going to get flagged immediately.
I don't think it resulted in any more than 3 points.
The one that was the hold on Lewis. That was bullshit because they were kind of in field goal range. And then Lewis just gets freaking bowled over. Yeah, and they said he was held.
Me and Kevin talked about it. It's a 52-yarder in Lambeau, though. That is at best a 50-50 shot.
And with Myers
in 30. Well, it's also in 35 degree cold.
It's 35. It's started to snow at that point. I'm dude, I don't even legitimately. I'm not even asking you to attempt that field goal. Honestly, you're not. I'm not running you out there, dude. I'd rather go for it at that point than have you run out there. But I get Kevin's point. Yeah, it was borderline field goal range. But the one that is the Russell pick, that's probably, regardless, they're much closer. That's 3 points that they're going to get probably. Mm-hmm. I disagree. I think that one is absolutely not a pick, but I guess that's more payback for the Golden Tate thing.
We can call it even. Kevin, what'd you think of those calls?
But agree, they did not affect.
No,
they did not.
I always, and as I've gotten on my soapbox before, I think referees should get graded every week. And if they're below a certain grade, their paychecks should drop or there should be fines. Just because there's just so much writing on with betting. Well,
make them full time.
Yeah, exactly. But I agree with that. They should be full time.
So I don't think they should be fined until you make them full time employees.
No, you should make them full time, and then you have can do whatever you want. Scale
but they need to be full time first.
Yes. Make them full time and give them a grading scale every week. If they fall below a certain percentage, they either have a little bit of a pay cut or a fine type of deal. Just because. And I get it's a boom boom game, it's hard to catch with your eyes, but at the same time too, there are some with the holding call and stuff like that, you're just guessing.
Well, to be fair, 90% of the time something like that happens, the offensive lineman is holding. It's just he got blown up so bad it looked like it was holding, but it wasn't holding. Lewis just sucks so bad on the play.
No, I'm not saying
he held it.
I'm not saying don't review every flag that you're going to throw out there, but some of them probably should be able to be reviewed before you do it, or at least have more discussions about, what did you see on that? Did you think there was holding? Do you think there was OPI or defensive pass interference, or was it more defensive holding type of deal? Just because a lot of stuff, half the time OPIs are holds, and then they call OPI, and that's a huge difference from 10 yards to spot foul.
Well, we can get on that, and it shouldn't be a spot foul anymore. But so what do you think about the game, though?
The game is in general, was it poorly called? Yes. Did it weigh the outcome like Pete Carroll said? No, we played like ass. that's just Pete Carroll just trying to find a scapegoat to where it's not back on him, because you played Russell, who is clearly not ready, and you didn't like change your offensive scheme, like, and I'll kind of get more into that when we go into the the Cardinals preview. I'm like, when I was first saying you should have thrown it more in the first half, because I mean Russell did have 40 throws, but like, do it to where it's not predictable, because it was kind of more, it wasn't the exact run throw, but the first half was very predictable on like what play was going to be what, versus the second half was kind of more of a mixture of crazy shit. And also then another thing, I don't know if you guys saw on Twitter about D. Eskridge using, like, he was only in on one play when he was cleared. And it was like, and he was like, why didn't you use D. Eskridge more? And they're like, oh,
technically he was out on the field 4 times, but he touched the ball once.
And they're like, he's like, oh, just wasn't in the plan. Like, it's like, well, you can kind of go toward like Sean's plan there. When the throwing game's not working, do short intermediate shit to where you're having bootlegs with him going, like tricky run plays, like what the Rams and what Shane Waldron is supposed to bring to this, to where it's you have to account for him type deal, to where you're not just stacking 8 in the box and just telling Collins try to get through it, but it's just, he didn't really adapt well offensively. Yes, Russell did play like crap, the O-line played like crap, but and that's a key part of getting plays to do things. Like, you have to have your quarterback and your O-line playing well, or else the scheme's not going to work to begin with. So I can't go fully in on Pete on that, but it was part of the problem at the same time too. So all in all, did it affect how the Seahawks been more closer because of the refs? No. Did it affect probably 3 points on the board? Like Sean said, yes.
All right, well, let's talk about the rest of the NFC West. Carolina went into Arizona, won 34-10.
You're welcome.
And San Francisco, just a few hours ago, won 31-10 against the LA Rams. With the Carolina Arizona game, Cam's back. I don't think he had much effect on that game, really. Although he did run into scores, but
McCaffrey.
Ran in one and threw one, Matthew.
Oh, sorry, whatever. I mean, I had Christian McCaffrey in fantasy. I was happy, so that was good.
He was happy. He's got tackled in one, and they took him out.
Even without a touchdown, he was, I think, the 3rd best running back this week. So I mean, I could have been greedy, of course, but overall, he was great for what I got, and him being injured for the last like 5 weeks. San Francisco Rams, Kevin called that one. I called this one. Kevin said that apparently Shanahan has McVay's number. I mean, it kind of seems like at this point. Also, Stafford was poor. OBJ was he wasn't good. But that was unfortunate about Robert Woods, Bobby Trees. That's unfortunate. So he's the number 2 guy, but looked kind of like when I was watching the game, he might be number 3 if he doesn't show up, and Van Jefferson's been there a while. So overall, 49ers improved a little bit, and Cardinals really need Kyler Murray. Sean, what did you think?
We talked about this before the podcast started. The Rams, especially Matthew Stafford, just played like butt. 49ers caught all bounces and then realized the 49ers, once you have, Kittle and your 2 receivers, and actually use both your receivers, you have a pretty potent offense actually at that point. And when you don't ask Jimmy G to do a ton, and just let those guys do their thing, they're pretty good. The 49ers have always had enough talent to do a lot of things well. They just haven't put it together yet this year for whatever reason. A lot of people blame coaching. It might be the problem with head coach. But they finally, the San Francisco has enough talent where this shouldn't be that much of a surprise. Yes, with the record but they're a good team. They have talent on both sides. Arizona, yeah, like we said before, they're propped up by Kyler Murray. And if Kyler Murray's ever hurt, for even sort of hurt, they're probably going to get embarrassed. Last week was a complete fluke against the 49ers. Everything that went right for the 49ers this week went wrong for them last week. Yeah, they got washed by the Panthers. So if as Seahawks fans, I legit like Kyler Murray, but I don't want to see him play next week. It would sure do us world favors. Although we've lost to Colt McCoy once last year, so I mean, maybe again.
I would also like to say thank you to Debo Samuel for helping me come back and beat Tim. That was appreciated. Kevin, what'd you
Debo
think?
and Ayuk are good at football.
It's true. Yeah, as I said, people can't sleep on Christian McCaffrey. He's kind of a good football player. PJ Walker is a serviceable backup. He's done crazy things.
I think PJ Walker's losing his job. Is what they're saying.
Yeah,
they said
don't sign Cam to almost 10 million.
No, they just said I think Cam Newton's the starter next week.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, PJ Walker looked good, so
I mean, he had like 120 yards or something like that.
But I mean, he did what a backup's supposed to, and coming into the spot, like if you gave him more time, more reps with a first thing team, I think he'd be better. I'm not saying he's going to be a good to elite quarterback, but he could be a serviceable starter.
Yeah,
like, probably better than what a Heineke is going to get you week in, week out.
You just beat Brady though.
Versus the Brady thing. Yeah, I know. But like, just because he has legs, he's fairly accurate. And you have to kind of respect the legs a little bit.
Heineke almost beat him in the playoffs last year too. People don't understand. Like he's the kryptonite. He's the new Eli for Brady.
The Nick Foles, if you will.
But and that Carolina, defense is it's on its way, I will say. I think they still have a lot of inconsistencies, especially in that secondary. But that front seven still.
Have you seen though? Stephon Gilmore is like, he's legit. His grading and his efficiency is the number one corner in the league. Like the Patriots just gave him up on him, and Carolina's like, okay, like, all right, we'll take the best corner in football, I guess.
But yeah, so I mean, that's kind of the writing, especially with now. If Kyler Murray's there, it might be a different story, or at least at the same time too, depends on Kyler's health as well. Like, where's Kyler's health at? Because you need to be able to have the Kyler wheels to help him have him be that dual threat. That's what makes Kyler so dangerous. And then I did pick the Rams last week, even though I like I've said, it's always been kind of the rock, paper, scissors of Shanahan beats McVay beats Pete, and Pete beats Shanahan. Usually roughly 80% of the time or more. Though I just thought with all the injuries and with how Shanahan's been doing lately, I thought maybe McVay might be able to pull it out, but then the Rams were like, hold my beer, let's go suck.
I think it was Stafford. Stafford just couldn't do anything today.
Yeah, Stafford just didn't have a fun time, and his
lionness came out for a couple. It comes out occasionally, like against the Tennessee Titans and against the 49ers. His lion days show up. Oh, we lost Kevin.
And Von Miller was basically non-existent in this game too.
Yeah, they handled Aaron Donald enough, I guess, to like.
Oh no, Kevin.
Oh, Kevin's gone. That's okay.
What happened?
Yeah, they handled Aaron Donald enough to like make it work. So.
Well, just you do the thing and avoid Aaron Donald.
They showed a couple times where they single covered him and just like, all right, Debo, you have 0.2 seconds or 2.2 seconds to get open, or Jimmy Garoppolo's gonna die. And Debo won him a couple times. He won the one-on-one. He had to win. So if your receiver can do that, Aaron Donald only runs so fast. Yeah.
But he can run fast for a man that size, though.
But not as fast as wide receivers.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, I would like Kevin to be here for this Cardinals at Seahawks preview. So I'm going to kind of talk slowly for 1 minute to see if he comes back here. But I'll just set the stage here. The Arizona Cardinals are going to Seattle to take on the Seahawks this Sunday at 1:25 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. In terms of the game, I meant to check this beforehand. I'm going to check it right now, but I believe the Seahawks have not won at home this season, if I'm not mistaken. Let's double check that.
Pretty sure.
Oh yeah, they beat the Jags. I'm sorry, they beat the
Yeah.
Jags. That's right. So they are 1-3
Because they beat
at home.
they beat the 49ers and
Colts
the
on the
Colts on the road.
So we know what happened last week with Arizona. I'm gonna try and keep this brief. So I want to ask 2 questions of you, and then Kevin, if he comes back, Sean. Does Kyler Murray play, and what is the outcome? I will go ahead and start. I just looked at the injury report for the Cardinals, and Cliff said that he is most likely a game time decision. And I also looked at their injury report, and it appears that Colt McCoy is on the injury report as well with a strained pectoral muscle. With that being said, I feel like if I'm the Cardinals, okay, let me just say, if I'm the Cardinals, I am resting Kyler Murray. You've got the bye week next week. You can get fully, or not, maybe not fully, but mostly back to health, and then you'll be hopefully pulling down the stretch run of your season and towards the playoffs and have a mostly healthy Kyler Murray. But I think Kyler is much like Russell Wilson and wants to play if he can. Do I think he's going to be out there? He's been out the last 2 weeks. Practice last Friday. I think he will not be out there. Now, to the second point. Since he's not out there, boy, this is just like a ripe opportunity for the Seahawks. Assuming he's not out there. Because the backup quarterback is, let me make sure I look up his name again, Chris Streveler, a 2-year player out of South Dakota. If Colt McCoy, age 35, is out with his pectoral injury. So basically it is set up for the Seahawks to win this game, assuming Kyler doesn't play. And even if Kyler does play, a hobbled Kyler gives you a pretty good shot. So with that being said, with how poorly Russ performed, hopefully that finger heals a little bit. I am taking the Seahawks, and I'm just going to state I am not super confident in taking that pick. I'm going to say I think Hopkins is out as well. I think they just both are out again. Bring it back for the stretch run. Without Kyler, 30-20 Seahawks. Sean?
It's hard to say. I thought they purposely were sitting them for these 2 weeks and then gonna bring them back for the Seahawks game, but that was kind of before Russell got hurt. And then, or was before like Russell was like, "Oh, I'm gonna play." And before I thought I thought Arizona wasn't gonna lose. So when they ended up losing a game, dropping it, and I thought they were gonna play their good guys against the Seahawks. So I think it's more of they're trying to really get that number 1 seed because that's kind of a big deal, and they blew their advantage they had by losing to Carolina. So they really need to get this win. I think Kyler.
But then the Rams also lost, so I mean, but they're tied with the Packers, yeah.
And the Cowboys are right there too. Like they're on their heel now, and they play the Cowboys, so they have to have a buffer now. So I think Kyler will force himself to play because he could rest again the following week. But again, even a 90% Kyler, he's just not the same. He needs to really be 100%. He needs to be able to move. He needs to be able to have full range of motion in the arm. He got nicked up a little bit last year and the team collapsed. And that's kind of always my issue with Arizona. If Kyler's even sort of hurt, they're nowhere close to the same team. And no DeAndre Hopkins, no JJ Watt. This team was held up by Band-Aids and duct tape. And it's starting to come apart at the seams. Even if Kyler plays, I think the Seahawks can win. That's the frustrating part. They can always win. but they choose not to. Sometimes it feels like they win by. They win by 2 at home.
Give me a score here.
Gosh, I don't know, 23-21.
23-21. All right. And looks like we have Kevin trying to rejoin here. Let's see if he is able to rejoin. He is in the room. I see the Max icon. Camera's trying to show up here. Let's see if we can get Kevin back here
You see a
for.
Max icon? I don't see anything.
I see his Max icon on the. Oh, there's another Kevin trying to join here. Maybe this is Kevin on his phone.
That's probably a safer bet right here.
Let's see. I accepted him into the room.
And it's a
and
it's a rando.
It's we have 2 Kevin Ardalls in the room here. Let's see if one of them
Kevin, you
will
gotta turn on
show
your
up.
mic.
Maybe he's trying to connect to audio on both of them. I don't know. I don't see it on either of them.
Kevin, you're ruining this. Kevin is officially the worst.
This is we've had a string of technical difficulties recently, so maybe we've got a curse on the show or something.
Because
I'm
we
not
keep
sure.
playing against the Seahawks. Is that what it is?
Maybe. Well, Sean, while we see if Kevin returns here briefly to give his prediction, the Rams on a bye, lost 2 in a row, but San Francisco is going to the ever dangerous Jacksonville Jaguars. What's the score in this game?
I think the 49ers have figured out they have good players on their football team. Only took 8 weeks. I think the 49ers handle them pretty easily and then get to 500, which is weird to say.
I am going to agree with the win. I do not think it is a beatdown. I do think it is a close game, actually.
Whoa.
I think if there, I don't know what the spread is at this point, but I would take Jacksonville -3.5 easily to cover that.
You think it's gonna be a close game?
I do. I think the Jaguars.
What has the Jags shown you to justify that?
Well, that game against the Bills, first of all.
That's well, okay. You need more than one freak anomaly game. What else have they done?
And I think the
Maybe Houston. Oh, man.
I mean, first of all, at least to discount that win is rude, but I mean they still have to beat.
San Francisco opens as a 6-point favorite, Matthew.
I would take
Jacksonville.
I would take Jacksonville to cover that. Honestly, I would take Jacksonville to cover that. And they played the Colts last week, and they didn't get absolutely dominated. So I think that the Jaguars are going to play well enough to cover the spread. Now, sports betting is not legal in Washington yet at a casino near me, so I can't go place that bet. But if I could, I might.
You might.
I
think you could do it over the phone now, can't you?
No, you have to be on like tribal casino ground that allows it right now.
Oh, gosh.
Still can't play DraftKings, can't play anything like that. Well, let's see if I wanted to meander just a little bit, see if we can get Kevin back for prediction. But don't forget next week, everybody, next Tuesday, the Sounders are taking on Real Salt Lake, 7:30 p.m. on FS1 in the opening round of the MLS Cup playoffs. So please go support the Sounders because they need your support to make another run at the MLS Cup. I see Kevin is trying to connect to audio there. Let's see if we can at least get that beautiful voice back.
See, now I can see Max, but I can't.
Yeah, see, I see Max. He's trying. Oh, we've got double connect audios
yeah, we're
here.
Gonna,
I mean, we might have a couple echo. Oh, Kevin, are you there?
Recording in progress.
Mute one of those. Kevin,
there we go.
He's
Hello,
back.
ladies. I'm back.
All right. Well, while you were having technical difficulties, we made our predictions. So Cardinals at Seahawks. Tell us what you think. Go ahead.
It just really depends on whether if what's his name, Kyler Murray is going to play or not.
Oh yeah, here, let me propose this to you like I proposed to Sean. 2 questions. Does Kyler play? And then the result.
I think they're going to probably do everything they can to try to get into play, especially after the butt whooping they took last week, especially against a division opponent. I don't think they want to lose any more games, but at the same time, too, they have to worry about playoffs in the long run. But they have to also get to the playoffs. They can't keep losing the way they have been. So I'm going to say yes, he does play. And I think we're going to have two quarterbacks kind of going at it. I think Russell will be better and probably will make better decisions. I think his finger is still going to bother him a little bit, but not to the degree that you saw. It's just also, I think the offensive line is going to continue to struggle because Chandler Jones is kind of a monster. If you haven't noticed all season, he's kind of a problem. So, man, I think we'll pull this one out just barely. I think it's gonna be close. I'm gonna say it's 24-21 Seahawks.
That's basically my prediction too.
All right. Well, that was a clean Seahawks win prediction sweep there. Kevin, while we got you, San Francisco is going to Jacksonville. You like the Jags, right? Obviously.
I don't know. The Jags are playing differently lately. It's kind of weird. Is it the Dan Arnold thing that Sean was mentioning?
I talked about.
Oh,
Dan Arnold.
I don't know. I think something happened to where they kind of had their come to Jesus moment. Like, we need to turn this crap around.
But the 49ers also figured out how to play football.
Yeah, this week at least. I'm probably going to still take the 49ers just because there's just so much more talent on that team. I'm going to take the 49ers to win, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's within 7.
Right? Taking that spread, right, Sean?
Nope.
Wow. Wow.
No.
Sean won't take the -6 for the
trust
Jags, but all
trust
right.
Urban Meyer and Trevor Lawrence at all.
All right, let's answer the real question here. Who's the better looking quarterback, Trevor Lawrence or Jimmy Garoppolo?
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Jimmy. It's not even a question.
All right. Well, nobody likes that hair. Okay, fine, whatever. I'm the only hair guy here. All right. Well, the Rams are on a bye, so let us know what you think of the Seahawks Cardinals. Give us your predictions. Tell us what you thought of the Packers Seahawks. Go ahead and tweet us. I'm at Matt. Sean's at Sean_Betty. Kevin at Kevin Believes First Name Believes Me in 3. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. Follow our page on the Eli Network. Next week we are going to recap the Cardinals Seahawks. Look ahead to who they got next. Washington? Yeah, they're at Washington after that.
Yep.
And then we are going to talk more about the Kraken. The Sounders might be playing while we're recording, so we'll probably talk a little bit about that. And then we'll also have some possible Mariner news, hopefully. So, support the Sounders FS1 next Tuesday against Real Salt Lake, first leg of the MLS Cup. Keep supporting the Kraken, support the Seahawks, and we will see you next time on Washington East to West Sports. Bye, Max.